Airial, if I could marry her brain, it would be amazing.
If you need anything technical.
She is down to earth. She's fun. She's very easy to network with.
Anything systems oriented.
Just anything web dev techie that I don't understand, Airial has swooped in and fixed. And she's my accountability bulldog.
She is a queen.
Anything infrastructure related.
She is helpful, and she helps guide and answer all your questions that you have about growing your business and networking and getting started.
She gives me life. She just gives me life.
Airial Reynal is your girl. Welcome to the TrepTECH podcast with your host, Airial Reynal.
I just want to marry her brain. She's a genius.
I want to introduce myself today because I am fantabulous. And I want to say welcome and thank you to Scott Doucette. I just really bombarded that. So I hope none of that got cut off. Welcome, Scott. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? You scared me, by the way. I was just getting ready to talk and all of a sudden you started shouting and I was like, what's going wrong?
You know I got to switch it up and get you off guard.
I started looking at buttons and settings. So I'm good. Now that things are good, I'm good.
For anybody who's listening to this, Scott and I, we literally between recordings or, through Messenger or whatever, come up with a topic. And that's all we know is the topic. And then once we get on the mic, it's not scripted. We go with the flow and we feed off each other's energy. So yeah, that's what it is. So you're getting the real stuff, unscripted, real and raw. All right, go ahead, Scott, take it away. What do you want to talk about today? Oh, that rhymed.
Well, I was going to ask you the same thing, but I got my mind on my money and my money on my mind today. So I was wondering if you wanted to break down pricing, maybe, I don't know if it's like what we charge now, what we used to charge, how we felt about pricing, if we ever kind of had some pricing screw ups or things like that. I think it'd be kind of fun to just talk about money today.
Money.
Money.
You did it!
Yeah, no, money's like one of the most, I know a lot of people are really caught up about money, but I'm just going to say it, food, sex, and money are my three favorite things on earth. And not necessarily in that order, right? Because I know money gets great food and attracts lovely sex too. So money is kind of it's one of it's top three for me. And I know love and, all that stuff is important too, but food, sex, money. And so since this is not the place to talk about food nor sex, I really want to chat about cash today.
I don't even know what to say, but those are probably my top two. Oh, sleep.
Oh, I could care less. I don't sleep.
Sleep's important to me. Let's definitely talk about money because people don't like to talk about it. Money and sales, but money is energy and it flows and it gives us the opportunities to impact the world more and more the more that we have. That's a whole mindset thing. So that's a whole nother episode on its own. And also I want to talk about if you ever discounted your rate.
Yeah.
I went through a whole thing on that and I was so resentful.
Yeah, we should definitely talk about that. I wonder if should you discount your rates should be an episode all on its own. But
we'll see.
Yeah, no, I love the idea of that. So as far as pricing goes, I don't know how to get started, but
Well, I'll get started. So now what I do, thanks to my coach, I do intuitive pricing. So it's literally when I put something together, I sit down and say, and of course a lot is going through my mind. So my ideal client, what kind of content it is, how the content's being delivered, how much access to me they're going to have. And then I just say what feels right in my gut.
Yeah, that's good. And my question about that though is is it just based on the package? You price differently per package? Or is it based on the person? Because I feel that would be a little weird and kind of unfair.
It's based on the package.
Okay.
And then, but I also use a scale, if it was a major course, that's a boot camp, that may be $497. If it has touch with me, it may turn into intensive, less time, but a higher price, and group, If it's a small course, $97. So there is a kind of scale,
Yeah.
but when it comes down to it, I go with my gut.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think that works really well for like a lot of people. And to me, like, you know what your time spend is, you know what your cost is going to be, you know what the transformation for the client is going to be, which is the main thing you should be basing your price on, is not what does it take you, but what will it get them? What will it save them, you know?
And
So,
then also, I type up something, run it by you, listen to what you say, because I want to make sure I'm not underpricing things.
which we all do.
Yeah. And then, like, sometimes I think with the 4-hour intensive, when we first brainstormed, you said like $600, and I was like, that doesn't feel right. I'm gonna do $488. That's perfect.
Yeah, and I mean that works. That works. I'll usually throw out a number that I would do it for, just because I know, okay, it's going to take me 4 hours of an afternoon. I'm going to be away from my family for that long. I'm not going to be able to focus on my work for that long. It's going to be all client delivery. So what is that time lost elsewhere worth to me? You know, that's what I kind of think about when I set my pricing, is for me to trade this time, where is it missing, and then what is that person going to be able to do with what I give them, and then I set a price, and it's usually decently high, but
Yeah.
it's never like so ridiculous that someone's jaw hits the floor when they hear it. So,
And because I love math, I do like run the numbers to make sure that any costs that I incurred are covered. So I know my hourly rate, even though you won't hear me say this is my hourly rate, and I don't just do by the hour, but I have that rate, that number, so I can calculate, my time and everything else into something. For instance, I'm doing a VIP day, a VIP weekend, matter of fact. So it's 2.5 days. So I'm taking those amount of hours, my hourly rate, adding the lodging, the food, the flight, any printing I have to do, car service, because it's going to be elite. I mean, VIP, elite, nice. You're going to come and it's going to be like, whoa. I'm figuring all that up. And that's going to be the price of the package, the investment for it.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And I know that like a lot of people listening in right now, they might want actual cold hard numbers thrown in their face, because this might not make a lot of sense to them. And not everyone's willing to share their numbers. So like I would be really game to talk about my numbers right now, the prices of the packaging, where I started, why I increased my numbers and all that, and kind of give people a look through my pricing journey, if you think that would be helpful.
Yeah, of course. And I'm game to share my numbers as well.
Cool. So, I mean, like right now, as of the time of this recording, we charge $700 a month for a done for you podcast production package. So
Well
that's
worth it.
yeah, I agree. So that's editing, it's production, it's show notes, it's scheduling it onto Libsyn, it's submitting it to iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, all that stuff, and then maintaining it month after month after month, episode after episode after episode. Pretty much people at the beginning have to get us their artwork, their description, their login credentials, and then they just have to show up on the mics week after week after week.
And you know how valuable this is, because when you told me everything that you do, we had that infamous call where you were asking me questions and I ended up saying, I'm hiring you.
Yeah.
It's because you're intuitive. So you don't, like with some producers, you don't have to go through with Scott and his team and say, okay, stop at 3 minutes and 15 seconds and take out this or whatever. All you literally have to do is record and then send the raw file to Scott. Of course, if you listen to the other episode about, what did we title that one? Or what were we talking about? Ideal clients and the time restraints. Get it to him on time. And it's just amazing. And the show notes. So, because I don't listen to podcasts really. I do listen to TrepTECH though, because it's been very interesting.
It's been fun. And
yes.
That's one of the things I wanted to say is like, I am my own customer. We are a customer of Podcast Bay, you and I together, right? So
We are.
I know what my pain points are. I know what I need fixed, and I know how amazing this company is.
Yeah.
So I know.
Well, let me finish pumping you up and how good your prices are. Damn. So by the time you sit down and try to edit, because literally I could have done my own intro and outro, I could have done my own editing because I have a background in that, of course. And Scott, I don't want to hear it like, oh, of course, Ariel. But I have a background in that. But I said, you know what, the time that it would take, and I don't want to listen to my voice, because I know if I listen to my voice, I'm going to hate it. And then I'm going to nitpick it. I'm going to be a perfectionist. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then I have to write show notes. I hate taking notes. I don't want to write. That's why I did a podcast, because I didn't want to do a blog. And what else do you do? Oh, you also like coach/consult. So if I ask you a question like, Scott, how should I launch this? Or how's my audio quality? Or should I do seasons versus, episodical? Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Continuing to go and all of that stuff. What about the content? You help me with all of that. And that's well worth whatever you charge.
Yeah.
Because it's taken, so hush, I'm still pumping you up. So, but this is for real though. You're taking all the headache away from me. And it's something that you do well, something that you do efficiently, something that you and your team love to do. So it's like, boom, there you go.
I think that was my first time ever getting hushed, like legit hushed on a podcast. And you know what? I'm not even mad. I'm just like Airial just hushed me. Cool. So, and 700, I feel like it's good value for all that. Everything you just said, I'm sitting here going, my prices are low.
Yeah, when I was saying, I'm like, wait a minute, 700, and you just went up to 700.
Yeah, but there's a reason we just went up to 700, and I'll kind of go back into my pricing journey, and maybe people can see why I'm sitting where I'm at right now. So when I started, I was just cutting my teeth as a podcast producer. I'd already produced music for my bands and things like that, and other bands, and I'd been a session player, so people would invite me, like, our guitarist can't pull this off in the studio, but he can do it live. Can you come play this part for him? And I would show up, play the part, record it, and, leave. So like I learned a lot about, it was the coolest job. I learned a lot about recording and production. So I had done that kind of thing before, but I had never done podcast production. And so I didn't know my worth yet. So I was like, you know what? And I didn't know the amount of work involved. So I was like, I'm going to see how many clients do I want to take on and what are my bills at, and how many clients would I need to take on to pay my bills and have a little bit of spending money. Right. And so I kind of figured out, if clients get me 4 episodes a month and they take me 2 or 3 hours to edit, I could probably do 2 of those a day, which means I could take on likely 10 clients, $350 a month, US. And a caveat, I'm in Canada. So when I charge US, by the time it comes across the border, there's a little bit more money in my currency because of the exchange rate, right?
Oh, right.
So let's say I charge someone $350. By the time it comes around, it's usually around $390, $400, even sometimes like $420. So there's a little bit of extra dollars.
$420?
Yeah. There's a little bit of extra playroom. There's a little bit of extra playroom in there for me as far as paying my team and stuff. So it gives me a bit of a competitive edge in that I can keep my prices a little lower and still not skin my team alive. So what ended up happening at 350 though, is I got busy. Like I started clocking 60, 80-hour weeks. At one point I ended up doing a 100-hour week. And that's when I vowed, like, I'm never, ever doing that again. So I started looking around, and Tora and I wanted to have a baby. We were discussing it. We wanted to kind of change our life up. And so I looked around and thought, like, how can I actually get less work for more money? And the first thing that hit me was Mark Bowini going, you have to raise your prices every year. So I went, okay. And this was around November 2017. I went, okay, I'm going to change my rates. I'm going to pump them up, and I'm going to do $500 a month. So I did. I didn't raise the price on any of my current clients right away. But every new client that came through the door, I told them, this is the rate I am at now. Any clients who are ready to drop off and leave, I told them, okay, do that. But if you decide to come back, these are the rates we're at now. I have, protected you from these rates. You grandfathered in at your old rate. You want to keep that rate? You might want to stay with us. But if this is not a good time, I understand. So people did drop off. They did come back. They did end up paying the higher price. without issue because they knew the value was worth it, but it just wasn't a good time for them, So
And
then,
when you pitched the 350 to me, because I was one of your first clients,
yeah,
I remember thinking, because I had gone through Fiverr and other things. And it was like, okay, this is how much it is for just the editing of the audio. And they're requiring me to tell them each stop and everything. And this is only for like 5 stops or 5 edits. And then to add the intro and outro, the upload it to whatever, somebody else to write the show notes. And when you talked to me and you said 350, and that's with weekly episodes, I was like, wait a minute. I said, so you intuitively edit. That means I don't have to go through it. You write the show notes. You upload it. So literally all I have to do is just talk and just send it to you. You were like, yeah. And I said, that's for episodes that are once a week. You said, yeah. I said, let me get out the calculator. I said, that's $87.50 per episode. That is well worth it. So we're launching the Veteran Woman podcast.
Yeah. And I remember like back then it was so worth the money. Like it was so worth the money to do it at that price. And it was so good. But once I got so busy, I couldn't keep up with the demand anymore. That's when I realized something had to happen. And I'm glad we don't charge by the edit because some of our clients get a show's Airial, 800, 1,200 edits. Could you imagine if we were charging by the edit?
Ooh.
We destroy their finances. So
Ooh.
yeah, we have a blanket rate. It covers up to an hour of audio. And it's 500, right?
Oh, I didn't know it was up to an hour.
Up to an hour of audio is what's covered in the, in the contract.
I love you.
So it's really cool that happens, right? Because
I'm saying I love you.
Yeah, I do. Some of your episodes run long and we never bug you for the money. So
but you get it way ahead of time.
Oh yeah, that's why we don't worry about it. we have it a year in advance. Who cares? So like when I started this year, like Scotland is born now and Tor wants to spend time with me, and I find myself again, like I hired an editor, so we have all kinds of time. Well, I say all kinds, quote, end quote. It's not really all kinds, but I have more time.
Mm-hmm.
But then I started looking at my services, and a client told me that my show notes were kind of shitty. They wish I had better show notes. And so I was sitting there going, I don't have the time to write better show notes. I'm tapped. I'm still clocking like 50-hour weeks here. What do I do? So this year I hired a writer and added a writer to the team. Her name is Jacqueline. She's awesome. Like her quality, like she goes investigative. I think I've said so in the last like episodes in the past. She'll like go and hunt down all their websites and read up and write proper bios. And like she's really in depth. Her show notes are top-notch.
When she's doing TrepTECH, I was like, it's not that serious. I appreciate and value your quality and work ethic, but it is not that serious. I am not that client.
But
I
when
said on some episodes, I may want a full transcription. And then, so when she heard The Color of Business, which is coming out soon, it'll be out by the time this episode airs. And she messaged me and she was like, I got to transcribe this whole thing. I got to transcribe it. And I was like, fine. And then she messages me and she's like, do you want timestamps as well? What? That was like an hour episode. No, unless you just want to do it. No. She's like, okay, I won't.
She told me that took her 2.5 hours to transcribe. She let me know like just how much time that took and how excited she was to do it. And the second she hit my hemisphere, my atmosphere, the second she was on my radar as a writer, and she gave me her first set of show notes. Like I got her on a professional tryout basis. Like I'm not contracted, just I'm going to pay you do an episode or two. The notes she gave me were so high quality. I realized right then and there that I could charge more immediately.
And then she's over here like, it's not good enough. It's just the first draft. Bitch, do you know how good this is? I've said it to her face.
Listen.
Behind her back or anything. I've said it to her face.
I'm glad you can talk to my team that way because I can't. I'll make them cry. But yeah, I love it because once she came in, I realized like at first I was like, oh my God, I can't afford to pay her, but I need her. what am I
Ooh,
going to
we
do?
really got to talk about, I know you talked about outsourcing in another episode. We got to talk about outsourcing again from my point of view.
Yeah, I'm excited to do that. Excited to do that. I think it'd be fun. And like, so here I had a dilemma. Like, I could hire Jacqueline, I could simultaneously up my quality and buy myself extra time to build this brand and business properly instead of just like constantly putting out fires. But I need the money. What do I do? And so I hired her. I paid her out of pocket. I sustained a hit to my personal finances to take her on. But every single client, save for a couple who didn't say anything, saw the immediate improvement in quality. People were writing me saying, "Oh, I used to have to go in and tweak and modify and change things to my liking, and I don't have to do that anymore."
Beautiful.
So I went, "Okay, this is even more of a no-brainer, even less of an effort for you. My prices are going up." So I raised them up another $200.
And
And
she loves doing it. And I keep saying that because you can find people that will do the tedious work that you just hate, and their crazy behinds will just love doing it. Like me and tech.
yeah. So like the thing I base my price on is as my costs go up, I don't want my quality of living to go down. So I raise my prices then. Or if I'm too busy at my current price, it means that my demand is outperforming my supply. It's time to balance that. And you balance that with a raise in price.
Yes.
And I look at now $700. If you look online at audio production for podcasts, it ranges. They say the low end is $500 a month, which is what I was at just up until recently. Well, I mean, by the time this episode airs this year, okay, this year. That's where I was at until this year. So 500 is the low end, 1500 a month is the high end for done for you services. 7 is smack in the middle. It gives me room to grow, but you know full well Podcast Bay is going to be a premium service at some point. And
Yes.
so we have our eyes on that 1500 a month price point. And I'm on a mastermind call this year with a gentleman named Mark Black. And we produce the Level Up Your Life podcast, which is Mark Black's podcast. And he told me that he's getting compliments sent to his inbox on his production quality. So if I want to raise my rates, I have the grounds to do so.
Yes.
And I
Because
just
like
raised them.
for us as business owners, having a podcast, podcasting is like in that marketing budget. So
Yeah.
if you think, and I'm telling you, you reach such a wide audience, and then you can repurpose content. So if you think of it that way and look at the pricing that way, the investment, you'd say, oh, this is worth it. Because I get people coming to me that I would have never reached on social media or any other way. And then it really builds that know, like, trust factor because you have the voice, the audio in there so they can hear your passion, your tone, how you do things. And then as they grow to love you, they start following you on social media. They start Googling you. And then boom, they come to you instead of you have to chase after them. They come to you and they're like, I heard your podcast.
Yeah.
I want to work with you.
And I mean, at the new price, right? Like, that's one of the things is like people are writing into him, telling him that his production value on his podcast is amazing. We may never hear that compliment, but that's a result of us. So if you're a coach and your clientele are getting massive results and you're cheering them on and you are the one getting them that results, that should reflect in your pricing. If your clients are doing well as a result of you, that should reflect in your pricing. You know, maybe you raise it for the next person to come through the door because the last person had so much of an impact. You no longer have to charge the low numbers, right? But the other part is I looked at my team after a really, really stressful January. I said, hey guys, we just got a massive amount of business this month. Thank you for getting us through it. I appreciate it, but we are no richer. We are way busier and no richer. So we have a problem. And once I said that, my producer said, yeah, man, I think we should probably look at a rate increase because there are things you want to invest in for YouTube and for editing and for all this stuff. And you've been telling me for the last 3 months you don't have the money. And you know you're getting clients and you're adding all this extra work, but you never get the chance to reinvest. I think we're doing too much for too little. And then my writer, she was like, if it would make it easier for you to cover my pay, I'm on board with it. And then
Of course.
and then I was like, well, are we at a $700 a month rate? And I looked at the quality of work and I said, we're actually higher than this.
You are.
But I'm going to make my January price increase $200, cover my writer, pitch it a few times, get comfortable pitching that number. And then once I'm comfortable pitching that number, wait till we're too busy again. Once we're too busy, I'm raising it to $1,000. And that's just going to be my pattern. You know, eventually we're going to have far fewer clients and be making far greater money. And a lot of people think, well, you know, is that really a good thing? Don't you want a bunch of clients? No, I would rather give an elite experience to 12 clients every year than have 40 that I'm giving a subpar experience to.
Right. And then those that you're giving that elite experience to, they're going to be your soulmate clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if they're not, well, I can always replace them next month.
Right, right. But you can be more exclusive with it.
Yeah, my
And like
team
you
can be
only have
dedicated.
so many slots available. And so people will jump at it like, okay, I gotta work with Podcast Bay. Let me jump on this now, that sense of urgency and stuff before the slot fills up. So
Yeah.
that just brings it to a completely different level.
And then to change that up because of January, and this is scarcity and exclusivity talking, because of January, we decided we never wanted to have a month like that again. We launched 4 shows in a month. A show to launch it right takes about 30 days. So we did like 160 days, 150 days worth of work in a month in 30. We weren't happy with that. We were bummed out by it. It hurt, to be honest with you. Like it was a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. So I decided that at the new price, I'm only taking on 1 client a month. And we're going to dedicate all of our time, all of our effort, all of our energy onto that 1 client while keeping our other clients afloat, obviously, with their stuff and delivering. But rather than take on 4 new people and try to fit 12 extra shows, you know, or 15 extra shows a month into our production schedule, perhaps just 1, and really give that person an amazing, amazing experience.
Yes, because also what I worry about, I didn't even think about it, but thinking of a big term, Podcast Break Productions. I know when we sat down to figure out when to launch TrepTECH, you told me about how many you were launching. And I was like, well, I just want to launch by this day. I want to launch as soon as possible because I've been sitting on this for a while. So, okay. And then also we didn't do a huge launch. So a side note, if anybody wants to see our numbers as we grow, we'll put in the show notes how you can get on that email list to find the behind the scenes and watch us grow TrepTECH from the very bottom. So let me go back. So I am relaxed like that because I could adjust based on whatever. And I'm not all into statistics, like new and noteworthy and all of that. But I know there are some clients that worry about all that stuff. And if you're not able to pump that out with the right quality, that's hurting your whole brand and reputation.
It is. It drags us down. So charging more and working with less people is actually better for our production flow. It's better for our brand. It's better for our clients. It's better for everybody involved. It's just, it took some money mindset, some pricing stuff, and some learned lessons to figure that out, because I always figure if I charge less, more people can work with me. And that's exactly true. But the problem with that thinking is that if I charge less, I have to serve more people. You know, so it's literally a double-edged sword. Yes, you're making more money from more people, like you're accessible to more people, but you're also having to juggle a lot more, and you've got a lot more plates spinning. So
that segues. I'm gonna talk now because you just took over. But that perfectly segues into like our discussions too about serving more and everything. So with my pricing journey, I started originally with life coaching. And I looked out to see what the average life coach charged. So my charge then was $150 an hour. So however that translate over into 3 months and everything. And then as I got certified more and moved into entrepreneurship coaching, I just upped my rate to $250 an hour. And I am confident in that because I know I can't serve everybody. I know everybody is not my cup of tea, nor am I theirs. And I'm like, I provide some badass value. So again, it comes to that mindset. And also the more certifications I get, I up level my education. I'm like, yeah, I'm worth more. I'm charging more. And also based on my experience, you don't only get this, and this that somebody else offers you, but because of my diverse background, you get these added things. So that's the differentiating part, which is also the unique selling proposition. So that makes you more enticing to people. And that's when you can raise your prices as well. But I do remember even when I was only at 150 an hour. So that was, what's 150 times 4? 600 a month?
Yeah.
Okay, so my 1 month package was actually $500 a month because it was, more money up front, but you get less time, you get kind of like a discount, that kind of thing, which if anybody needs to run the math, I can help them do that. And so I had a couple of leads and I gave them a discount because of how I got the lead. And because they only said they can afford a certain amount, but I was still doing the same amount of work. No, actually, I was doing more because with this one client, it was $100 a month. We were talking every week and she was so picky. And she was like, I don't like this, or I need to do this. And I was doing more work. It burned me out and I became pissed off. And I said, never again. So how do I change this? So now I'll ask someone, especially when it comes to life coaching, I'll ask someone, what is your budget? Based on your budget, I can tell you how it will look to work with me. So now it is $1,000 a month to work with me. If they only have $200, and that's roughly $250 an hour, if you do an hour per week each month, because I have to do the math in there some kind of way. It helps me figure it out quickly.
Yeah.
If they say they only have like $200 budget, then I say, okay, if you want to talk every week, that's 15-minute sessions.
Oh, so you break it down for them.
Right. If you want to, every 2 weeks, 30-minute sessions, or an hour once a month.
So that ensures that you're still making your money for the time, but you're not turning people away.
And I'm not doing all the extra work.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And then how you mentioned about serving more. So I have my 12-month mentorship that is highly elite and exclusive and only for soulmate clients. And then I'm going to have a group program, my 8-week intensive, that's for a group. So that's people like in my target market. So my range is getting bigger if you can hear that and kind of visualize it. And then for TrepTECH Academy, anybody can afford it. Any and everybody can afford it. It's only $27 a month. It's a do-it-yourself. So you get the knowledge that you need to as a springboard into starting your business, maintaining your business, scaling your business, working on mindset, all that good stuff that's within the academy. But it's not extra work on me, so I'm not resentful. You still get quality and also repurposing a lot of content as well. So you can work with me at different price points. Depending on your budget, depends on the different ways you can work with me. So I have, bottom line, I have a do-it-yourself, TrepTECH Academy, a done with you, which is my coaching and consulting, and then a done for you for those who need actual like branding assets, social media images, logos, websites, landing pages. That's the done for you. And as you go from do it yourself to done with you to done for you, it goes up in the price range. So that goes into value ladders and sales funnels and stuff, which that's a whole nother episode. And that's probably more of a training with a visual so people can see what that's all about.
You know, you brought up something that I didn't even think about, and that's discounting. And when I first started, I forgot about this. And I think maybe you might have forgotten about this too. But do you remember that I offered like $100 off for my first 5 clients for 6 months?
Oh, you did. You sure did.
So like for my first 5 people that came in the door, I gave them for $250.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm in it because I'm going to make money from this podcast. I didn't, because the only reason why I didn't was because I ended up changing the focus of that podcast. And I did not feel right monetizing the Veteran Woman podcast. So I said, I won't do it. Let's start the TrepTECH podcast. That is where we monetize and everything.
Yeah.
And let people watch us through that journey.
Yeah. And I remember, like, there were a couple of people who I regretted giving the discount to, because like discounts all day for you. Okay. Because like you got me your episodes, you were so chill. You were like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Hey, Scott, I trust you. You can do whatever you want. Like, don't worry about it. Here, like, you were a really responsible and fun client to work with. But there were some people I was chasing them every single week for their stuff. They would get me stuff that was horrible quality coming in. They would get mad when it was not so great coming out. They would fight with me when I would give them host development tips. They would ignore me. I'd coach them and they wouldn't listen. And so their next episode
Really?
took two. And I have found, and maybe this is universal, maybe it's not, but I found in my experience, the people that pay the less tend to be the worst clients.
Yes. That was the girl who was only paying $100 a month. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
she was so much work. But I learned from that. And that's why I took her on, because she was so different, her personality from mine. And I knew that she would help me structure things just based on her needs. So that taught me quite a bit, including never discount like that. Never discount the cost that drastically and still do the same work.
Yeah.
You have to balance it out. If somebody's like, that was what, maybe a fifth of what I normally charge. So what I should have done and what I do now is a fifth of the work. So we balance.
And you know, it does come down to knowing what you're worth. And I think that's an episode in and of itself, because I'm not going to get into it on a pricing episode. But knowing what you're worth and knowing the amount of time it takes, knowing what it does to you, does it make you anxious? Does it stress you out? Does it, like, what impact does it have on the quality of your life? You need to take that into account when you're charging, because if Airial's going to sit there and do a full branding thing for someone, you know it's going to be $10K plus if she's got to take care of all their social media platforms and make sure everything's consistent, set them up a website and all that. You know she's not going to sit there and do that for $5K just because you can't afford it.
No.
You know, because it has an impact on her life.
And why me? Because I'm good as hell at it. I have damn near 20 years experience, physical experience, educational training, and just doing the damn thing. I'm good at it. It's a gift of mine. So people be like, well, I can go to such and such who's cheaper. Okay, go ahead. You get what you pay for.
That's just
But
it.
you also get coaching from me. And I'm not so asinine that I'm like, okay, you pay for 3 months, we're done in 3 months. Especially if you're my soulmate client, like the ones I've been working with lately. I'm like, no, we're gonna work together at least a year. Don't worry, you don't have to buy. I'm not charging you extra just because I love working with you.
Yeah, it's different when, like, because they didn't expect the discount up front. You end up realizing they pay your full rate, and then you end up realizing you love them. And like, you know, really lovely people will insist. Like, I've had clients that pay my full rate and then still send me a Christmas bonus at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Those people that were begging for discounts, they're not going to send me and my team Christmas bonuses. We're not going to get anything extra out of them. Most of the time, we don't even get a thank you. You know, so I've found that at a higher price point, I've ran into real salt of the earth people. They're appreciative, they're generous, they're kind, they're responsible.
Quality.
They're quality people, you know? So take that into account when you're setting your pricing. It's just, do you have experience? Do you provide a quality product? Is this going to make you hate your life for the next 6 months? And if so, charge accordingly. Don't charge an amount where the money wasn't worth the effort.
Hey, Scott, how would you feel about doing a 4-hour intensive, joint intensive, me and you together as the coach, because we both come from different perspectives, with the client? So like a Zoom call or a Facebook Messenger call, one or the other, some sort of call. And the client is needing help with packaging and the sales funnels and the value ladder and pricing. And we sit down for 4 hours with them and hash that out. So by the time they finish, they have a suite of offerings with the prices and how it falls in line with each other. Would you be game?
I'd be happy to come in as a consultant on some of your intensives if they're based around packaging and pricing. I'd be so game to do that. It'd be a lot of fun to do
That's
that.
what I'm saying. I said the whole thing is around packaging and pricing.
Yeah. As far as like an ongoing thing, I don't know. I have so much going on, but every now and then, if you're like, "Hey Scott, I need your help on something," I'm happy to lend an ear.
It would be a 4-hour intensive, and it's very focused on that. And then we can bounce off of each other. They get a view from both of us. It's going to be elite, but they know by the end of those 4 hours, they walk away with a sure set of offerings with the prices that they're confident in selling and everything. And then, of course, I will do the follow-on coaching because I never want to see any of my clients fail. So if I got to, apply or bring in accountability and support, I'm always here.
Beautiful. Yeah, no, I'd be down to help people with this for sure. I think it'd be great.
All right. Guess I just talked myself into another sales page.
Yeah, why are you doing this? Why you keep doing this? Sell the ones you got, lady.
You know what? Be quiet. That's what I was saying.
So while Airial figures out another product to sell, I will see us out. Pricing is important. You've got to put some thought, effort into it. You shouldn't be worried about if the other person can afford it or not. That first of all, other people's finances are none of your business. Second of all, if they cannot afford you, someone else is within their price range. So you don't have to.
And you know what? So speaking of pricing, yes, I interrupted you. So my 4-hour intensives when it's just me is $488. This one with 2 coaches and follow-on accountability and support, and you're actually walking away with your offers and pricings and a sketch of how it falls into your value ladder and sales funnel. It's going to be $1,000.
And that's before my fee. No, I'm kidding.
No, we're splitting that fee.
That's before my fee. No, I'm just playing.
That's what we're starting it at.
Oh, that's nice.
And I think that's well worth it. That's probably well underpriced, but that's well worth it at least.
Beauty. So if that's something you are interested in, if you're interested in figuring out your pricing, getting paid what you're actually worth, and having a better year as a result of it because you're not stressed out for no money, definitely hit us up. Contact Airial. The details will be in the show notes. And if you're not interested in getting that, that coaching, that package all oriented, we'd still love to hear from you. Let us know what your pricing adventure has been. Let us know what you have been up against. Feel free to connect with us online and let us know your experience with pricing. That has been this week's episode. Airial, thank you so much for guiding us on this pricing journey.
Love y'all.
Thank you for tuning in to the TrepTECH podcast. But if you like what you heard, go on to Apple Podcasts and bring her a 5-star review. And also, if you want to check out her service while she transforms mindsets, navigating entrepreneurship, leveraging technology, building relationships while bridging the gap in your business, check out TrepTECHacademy.com. That's TrepTECHacademy.com.